Welcome to the AMATIC 2015 webinar series. My name is John Oakes and I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for AMATIC. And today's presentation is Improving Retention Through Placement Test with Dr. Gavin Waters. And this presentation is sponsored by the Placement and Assessment Committee of AMATIC. AMATIC is the American Mathematical Association of Two-Year Colleges, and our core value is building expertise and exhibiting leadership in the teaching and learning of mathematics, enhancing personal growth, and improving teaching methods and effectiveness as a personally initiated lifelong responsibility. And for more information, please visit our website at amatic.org. And please note that the views expressed by the presenter are not necessarily the views of AMATIC, and any commercial products mentioned by presenters are not endorsed by AMATIC. And WebAssign is proud to support the AMATIC webinar series. And so now we're going to switch to the presenter slides. So I think Dr. Waters, you right, okay, there we go. So I'm going to actually turn it over to you so that we can have the full time today for the presentation. So if you could all welcome Dr. Waters in the chat room, that would be great.
Hi everyone. Let me just make sure that I have my chat room up, which doesn't seem to be coming up. Now I've lost everything. Yeah, I don't believe that I can see my chat room, so unfortunately I can't actually read the comments if they actually turn out. But I'm gonna try to fix that. And no, I can't. That's rather unfortunate. All right, John, are you still there?
I think then if an important question comes up, I can try to alert you, or we can just save them for the end.
Okay. Again, sorry about that. All right, so my name is Gavin Waters, and this is something that myself and Dr. Jennifer Hegeman at Missouri Western State University have been up to. It's been about a long process, about 2 years now of sort of doing this. We're basically trying to improve the number of students on our campus and looking at it in a very data-centric way. Anyway, on. So what we're going to do in this webinar is essentially I'm going to give an introduction. I'm going to talk to you a small bit about Missouri Western. It's an open enrollment university. We have about 4,800 to 5,600 students depending on the year. We're going to talk about who we accept, what happens to them, where do they go into courses, and then essentially we're going to sort of show you the idea that we came up with, and then I'm going to show you actually how to do it yourself. So onwards. I like going onwards. So the college course that we offer in general education are a bunch of students. They go into either college algebra, which is our Mat 116, that's our STEM course, Mat 112, which is finite mathematics, it's our business orientated course, and then Mat 110, which is our contemporary problem solving. That's more of a I hate to use this term, critical thinking, but less analytical type of course. You don't need so much algebra in it. So what I'm actually going to show originally, or what we're going to have a look of it, is my college algebra course. So my college algebra course that I teach, I get evaluated on how, by the dean and by the chair, on how well my students do. Their definition of success is to receive an A, B, or C grade. The reason why they define that success is they always ask me, well, what about your DWF rates? How can you improve that as faculty? And constantly, we're actually on our self-evaluations every year. We're asked, what specifically did you do to actually help with that DWF rates? Well, we decided to have a little look. So originally, this is an average college algebra course from my course. Essentially, it's a class of maybe 30 students. We have maybe 2 or 3 sections of college algebra personally that I teach. But usually it breaks down to about 45 to 47% people getting ABCs, and then the rest would be not successful. Now, you know, that's not good in the dean's view, and I must be an exceptionally bad teacher in the dean's view, or at least that's what I'm sort of saying. And I have a comment here. I'm not too sure. I wish I could read your comment. Unfortunately, technology is getting the better of me. But if it's really important, John will jump in. So, but what's fun is that if you actually look over all of our college algebra courses, green being successful and blue being unsuccessful, DWFs, you can see that over the past 6 years, I am not an anomaly. This is normal. People have these high fail rates, and it's kind of disturbing, especially as a mathematician, because let's face it, college algebra, I mean, it's been around for a while. Anyway, so we have a look at our finite mathematics, which is the business orientated one, and it's better. You have better success rates in that, not not great, but better. And then our contemporary problem solving ones are much better. I'm like, ooh, this is lovely. This is what we want to see as educators. This is like students understanding, let's put them all through. It's all great. They love math, which is great. The problem is that when you put them all together, it's not really a pretty picture. Again, this is just for 6 years of data. I could go back 15 years of data, but again, the graph gets a bit weird. But you can see the bottom portion of that graph is going to be your college algebra or STEM course. The next one is our next one up. The darker blue is going to be our business course. And then the last one is going to be our contemporary problem solving course. The y-axis there is probability of success, getting an A, B, C of it. And the semesters are along the bottom. Now, you can see that the college algebra, the success rate is hovering between like 33 and 50%. It's usually hovering around the mid-40s, so it's not really something that we actually want to be sort of proud of. But as I said earlier, we are an open enrollment university. We accept unconditionally ACT-M, that's the ACT score, math subscore of 18 and above. We accept them unconditionally, and then we have some certain conditions for below that. But as you can see, that's not really sort of that good. What we wanted to look at is if we look at our other institutions like MU, Missouri University down in Columbia, they have a ACT requirement, I think, of 24 or 26 to get into the university. So they have much better. The state came around and sort of said, hey, maybe we should put some minimum standards on getting into these general education courses. And it was a couple of years of wrangling, and eventually they came out with the number ACT-M 22. So that's what we did. We looked at our students that have an ACT of 22 or better. And as you can see, the blue, the light blue, the STEM course, it jumps quite a bit. You can see that it's a kind of a seesaw thing. Now, what's weird is how that actually relates, or why it happens. The up is going to be the fall, and then the down is going to be the spring. And our finite is similar, and our contemporary problem solving, I mean, people with a high ACT really, really love that. But to put it into our bar charts, again, you can see that we have a large number of students that come in the fall, and their success rate is good. And then we have these retreads, or people who fail and come back, and their success the second time around is actually quite good as well. So overall, our high ACT people are good in our 116, they're very good in our 112, and they're outstanding in our contemporary problem solving. But the problem is that me as an educator, the dean doesn't evaluate me on my ACT 22 students. He evaluates me on everyone. And then we're back to this picture. It's kind of not nice. But how our university used to work is that people used to come to our university, and if they had an ACT subscore of 20 or above, they would be allowed into our general studies. If they had 19 or below, they would go into our remediation. So we knew what the above 22 looked like, because that's what the state wanted to do. We wanted to have a look at, well, what about these remediation students? Can we look at their data? And as you can see, people who have gone through remediation have a really, really tough time in our STEM college algebra course. It's not at all a very good picture. In fact, our finite is actually not good at all as well. I mean, it's 40%-ish. But our contemporary problem solving, it's nothing to be proud of, but at least it's above 50. On average, I think it's about 57. So then we started looking, okay, what can we do about this? Because our students that have gone through remediation still have these success rates, green being successful, blue being not successful, and successful again deemed by ABC. And well, the college algebra is not really that good. The 112, which is our business math, it's a little bit better, but it's not really that good. And our 110, it's reasonable. Okay, we pass a lot of people in our 110, and I don't think that it's something to be exceptionally proud of, but at least we can sort of look at it and say, hey, they're doing a good job. The problem is when you put all these courses together, you can look at the number of students in each of these courses. And that's where our whole problem relies. If we look at our total enrollment in general studies mathematics in each course, you can see that the heaviest one on top, which is the light brown, is our college algebra. Our finite is our next heaviest, and our lowest enrolled course is going to be our contemporary problem solving. But the success rates are reversed. Our most successful is our least dense, and our least successful is our heaviest dense. And unfortunately, we couldn't, and we tried for many years, to force people by advising, saying, you really should try this course first, or you really shouldn't go into college algebra if you have a low ACT. Maybe you should try for something else. Maybe if you have an ACT of 15, maybe aerospace engineering isn't for you just yet. Maybe you need a little bit more. Well, our combined success, let me just go, I can't go backwards, but our combined success in that is going to be averaging all the courses. It's going to be that. We essentially have a look at the people in our courses, and we're like, well, if we look at people coming into our math gen ed courses, it's hovering around 47%. That's what we're doing as faculty teaching gen ed students. And that, unfortunately, is the thing that we were being dinged on by administration. So we wanted to change that. So we decided to have a look at this whole concept of students coming into our college and passing through remediation and defining it by ACT 20 and below 20, and try something different. So here's my course again. I have essentially a 46% ABC rate. That's the green. So I started asking the question, well, where do my students come from? Well, the first place that they come from is retreads, people who failed the course and were back in the course. So those are inside, these are encapsulated inside the math discipline. We essentially as faculty have control over those students because we failed them or we passed them. Then we have inside our mathematics department, which incorporates our remediation program. So we have a math discipline and a math department, and the remediation program is inside the math department. Students usually got certified by Pearson product Alex. We've been using that for quite long, and according to the Pearson product, they're great students. To get out of the remediation program, they have to get an A. So an A is a good thing. They obviously know their stuff, and in they go. Then what we have next is we have, our students also come from remediation, but they also come from not remediation. And here are these students that are above an ACT of 20, or maybe they have transfer credit in some other remediation course, or maybe they have a credit in another university degree. But essentially they're students that are more or less well prepared. Now, so I have above 20 funneling into my course, and I have below 20 funneling into my course. But the problem is, and this is where we started thinking of things out of the box, is the people that are funneling into my course, they are from a class or a group of class of people who are successful in the remediation. So now I have to ask myself, I'm like, well, how many people actually went into remediation? How many people finished the Alex course? And that's essentially the breakdown. About 60% of the students who went into remediation did not make it out of remediation. So they came into our university as a class of students with an ACT below 20. They went into our program and 60% of them didn't come out. And that was disturbing for me, especially since that means that we were failing quite a number of people. If we look at it all together, as in like we're a math department, how many people coming into our department, how many people leaving our department. So what we thought about is maybe we can get away from our old vision, which our old vision was people below a 20 go into remediation and go into a course, people above 20 go into our course straight away. So what we did is we decided to look at our data and find out, branched out or classified by ACT, how did each person do in this kind of ACT? And then using that, we decided, well, maybe we can actually force these students into certain classes that they're actually successful in. Well, how do you do that? We've tried for years saying, advisors, please advise your students to go into our contemporary problem and not college algebra. And unfortunately, we were put up with the psychology professor that says, well, I did college algebra in my degree, so therefore that should be the course that they do. Even though their degree doesn't state that they need college algebra, they still want to force their declared majors into college algebra, which is unnecessary. So we created this math place exam, and what we did is we turned around and we were able to sort of funnel students into different things that they would be more successful in. So basically we used initially the ACT subscore in math to sort of figure out where they would go, and we decided, since the state was changing it to ACT 22, we decided that we could take these 18 to 21 subscores in math and funnel them into a new course that we designed, a contemporary problem solving. But rather than just throw them into the course, we actually were looking at co-requisite models. So this is a course that is going to be a gen ed course, but it has a just-in-time remediation component to it, which is cross-listed. So we have our gen ed course, and we have a cross-listed gen ed course that has just-in-time remediation also with them. It was a novel idea. Originally, when I heard about it, I said, that's just crazy. But actually, having gone down and gone to a couple of conferences, one of them being in Washington, it made sense. It seems to make sense. So our new vision is this. We get students into our university, and we put them into our placement exam, and using 6 years of data of people classified by their ACTM, we were able to sort of funnel them into places where we, from data, knew that they would be more successful, or at least stand a better chance. So using this data, we were able to take a year back when we're trying to sell this to our provost, because they were all, you're going to do what? And our dean was like, what? And what we actually did is we had a look at these students in these particular classifications, and rather than just pass them through into what it was, we hypothetically said, well, what if they actually did this other course? And what if this person actually did this other course? And we viewed things not as an individual class person, but we viewed it as a kind of, big picture. Vertical integration is they use in business, but essentially we look at it when the students comes into our mathematics department and they need an MAT course until they leave our mathematics department and they've gotten college credit. We started viewing it like that rather than actually viewing it like individual instructors trying to individually make a small change. We rewrote our curriculum, we rewrote the catalog, we force students now in these certain courses to actually go into these courses. So we changed the prerequisites of college algebra, we changed the prerequisites of our cross-listed just-in-time remediation course, and we instilled this math placement exam to force them into these places. So before we had a look at our data, if we looked at it in terms of who comes into our course, who comes out to our course, that was going to be 42%, I think it was, is how many people are successful that were actually coming out. Now, with our new data, it turns out that we can get 57% of the students that enter our university actually have ABC. Now, they may not have college algebra, but maybe they do not need it. All we were interested in is increasing retention rates on our university to allow the student to, if he does try for college algebra, and if they are not capable of actually obtaining a passing grade in college algebra, to actually have a fallback plan. They've already got their mat. I mean, that was one of our concerns when we actually looked at the problem. All these students were hitting this college algebra wall and failing repetitively. And wouldn't it be nice if before they tried, the weaker students, before they tried the college algebra, wouldn't it be nice if they had college credit already in the bag? So maybe they won't do engineering, maybe they'll do engineering tech or something different, something that doesn't use as high level of mathematics. So inside, the reason for the 57% is we actually looked at first-time, full-time students and their retention rates for it, because that's an indicator for us for how we receive funding in the state of Missouri. Well, the number one indicators of a returning student was completion or non-failing of a math degree. So we knew we were onto something. We knew we were like, hey, we can sort of increase it. And the provost and the dean and the associate provost opened up the eyes of themselves when I actually turned around and said, well, that translates into about 200 extra students per year, and that translates into about $1.5 million extra dollars in tuition because they're going into classes that aren't full per year over 4 years. That's an increase in revenue of $6 million just by changing how we actually view this. So they were very much, yay, that's great. And now we're in the process of actually doing it. So that's essentially the game plan. Now I'm actually going to show you how you actually do it. So the first thing is what we actually used for this. There's plenty of, I'm getting at least 20 emails a day from different companies out there, like WebAssign, they're sponsoring this, like Pearson has something, like Course Compass has things. There's lots and lots of these lovely placement exams, but the problem about all these placement exams is they're developed for everyone rather than for us. So as the math department, we decided that we want to actually address our problem because we're an open enrollment university. We're not a selective university. There's lots of variables that are happening. We have our own little courses. We have our own way of doing things. So wouldn't it be nice to actually design a placement exam, with our own questions, and maybe also, put in different things which are individualized for us. So we used our WebWork software, which is again open source. We created our own placement exam, our own server, and we used questions to actually put onto this placement exam. The questions that we actually did was specific because what we used was the topic sections for our just-in-time remediation for cross-listed course. So here, these are the topics that we're doing. There's going to be 12 topics. Each topic has 30 problems. And what we actually did is we wrote 30 problems for each, and then we did we made up our placement exams using these questions. So what I'm going to do now very quickly is I'm going to switch to a web browser and give you just an idea of what we actually did. Okay. Boop. And if I put this up, there we go. I can put so we got placement.missouriwestern.edu, and this is our website that we actually use. As I'm looking at it, let me get it to a full screen and maybe zoom in. There, makes it a little bit bigger for people. So students who want to come to our university, they have an ACT of below 22. They have a choice according to us. We've actually figured out, where they're going to be situated. We can either put them straight into, if they're above 22, we put them straight into college algebra or any genetic course that we want, because data says that they'll do just fine. If you're between 18 and 21, we realize that you could be good, but we're not too sure yet. So we're going to put you into our 110 course, where we know there's at least a 60% chance you're going to get it on the old 10 course, but now we're also going to give you just-in-time remediation, which will increase your success chance. But if you want to actually just do college algebra, you can take this placement exam and get a score above a 70, and that'll allow you to get into college algebra or what have you. So to do that, they probably have questions, so we try to answer as many questions as they have. There's lots of instructions, there's lots of stuff you can look at. And by the way, this is a website, so you can actually look at it. The resources, what we actually did is we made videos for each of the topics that I told you about. We made a help page. On each help page, there is an embedded video, and each video actually has sub-videos on it, so it's like a learning environment. And then we can actually allow them to go in and do questions. So I think this will work. Nope. This one will. Nope. Sorry about this. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe one more. There we go. So this is Bank 3. As you can see, this is web work. We designed it so that it looks nice and pretty and the same kind of colors as our university. We put our logo up there. We linked it so that you can actually go back out to the help section associated with that work. Our help section, again, we have videos on there. I don't know if I press play if something bad is going to happen, so I'm not actually going to do that, but feel free to come here yourself and have a look at the videos. For each question, it was just a simple question: determine the product, and you can put in an answer just exactly like a calculator, and it'll tell you if you're right or wrong. We also have for each one of these bank or topics, we have a homework bank. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do. You can even do a sample test. You can take a sample test here, and as you can see, this is essentially what the placement exam will actually look like. You can click on things and it's all very nice. So that's what we created. It tells you instructions on how to do the placement exam, and then when you're ready, what you actually do is you can take the placement exam. You have to schedule a time because it's a proctored examination, and then it's actually sent out to you, and it's all very nice. Now, what else did we do? Well, we tested all of our questions to every general studies student on campus that was taking general studies in the fall of 14. So every single student got tested, and then we had a look at their grade. Now, unfortunately, the data isn't actually perfect because it's very hard as a professor to turn to the student and say, do this placement exam. Some professors turned around and said, do this placement exam and I'll give you credit if you do it. Some professors said, do this placement exam, and whatever grade you get on it, I'll give you that credit. But, we had like 600 students do it, and we tracked them, and we were able to sort of get some stats from it. So the preliminary results, we put these people, we saw in our data looking over the years that essentially there's 4 groups of people. There's people who never did the ACT, which you really don't know, did they not do it because they knew they were going to fail? Did they not do it because they're a non-trad student and they're coming back? Did they not do it because they couldn't afford to do it? Then you have that group of people between 1 and 17. Those are people who did do the ACT, and we know essentially how good they are. Then there's the special 18 to 21s, which our data said they tried harder, they withdrew less, they had a better chance of doing well in courses. And then we have our 22s and above, which is like, you're the golden boy, you can do whatever you want. So our preliminary results for all students over this whole semester is we gave 50 problems to them. This is a logistic regression because you either pass or not pass, you're successful or not successful at general studies. So we were trying to find a relationship between these questions and how well they did. Because of the numbers, it turned out to be quite statistically significant. And I really like this picture because it illustrates our group 4 there is going to be our ACT 22s. There's a clear separation between the 4s and the rest of them. The orange is the ACT 0, and you can see that it's above the green bar, which means that, again, these people who didn't take ACTs, it doesn't mean that they're actually really, really bad. It just means that they didn't take it. We don't really have a handle on how well they're working or how well they're going to do in our math class. And the blue is going to be, or the teal, is going to be that little special ACT 110, or sorry, the ACT 18 to 21. So that's all of the classes, but what we actually did is we also broke it down into our 110, our 112, and 116. So this is our 110 results, and it's not as pretty. The reason is we just didn't have the numbers for it. But what we did see is you can see that the high ACT and the ACT 18 to 21, there was a clear separation between them and the 1 to 17 and the ACT zeros. So that's why we looked at these 18 to 21 students as students who are different, who are capable of doing this 110 material, especially if we gave them just-in-time remediation. For our 112 students, again, our 18 to 21s are doing similar to the 112, but you can see that we just didn't have enough people in our data pool, I believe, because it starts with a predicted probability of less than 20%, which is that shouldn't happen. Anyway, our last one is going to be our 116 students. And using all of these logistic regressions, we were able to sort of, and here it clearly states that, you know, if you have an ACT of 22, you're well more prepared than the rest of the groupings of the people. And it doesn't really matter what you get on this placement exam that we've given to you. There's something else going on. So using these the data analysis, we were able to determine essentially what is our passing rate for college algebra and our passing rate for people below 18 who wanted to get into either college algebra or our 110 class. We used all of this data to do it. Now, each one of these data points, we give an exam with 30 problems. 70 is going to be 24 questions, correct? Isn't that right? No, 22 questions, correct? Yeah, my brain's a little bit weird. But anyway, so however many questions, correct. But the problem is that fixes us into this will always be the case. What we wrote in the background is every semester we look at all the students that have gone through our placement exam and we re-weight each one of those banks. We actually can find out how well of an indicator the question bank is as a predictor on how they're going to do inside in their general studies courses. So actually, I'm going to just switch you again. Every night, what we actually do is, hang on there. Oh, it's not on this thing. Every night, what we actually do is we run a Python program, and we can find out who took our placement exams, what kind of distributions, here what kind of, if they retried the placement exam time and time again, and lots of information. But towards the end, you can see we develop heat maps in linear correlations to find out how it affects on the person's grade, and then also what bank has most effect and confidence intervals on that effect. So we're looking at this in a very much not just let's give them a placement exam, but how well each one of these question banks affect the students' chances, not affect the students, you know, defines the student's chances that they'll be better in a certain course. So again, I've showed you the resource website. There's notes over each topic. We have tons of videos. I think there's, I want to say 50 videos up there in intermediate algebra, and it's all open on YouTube. I suggest that you actually log on there and actually have a little look. And there's a bunch of electronic problems from each topic. If anyone actually wants to turn around and actually try these electronic problems, just send me personally an email and I'll set you up an account so you can actually see them. So when a student goes and takes this placement exam, they're allowed to do it once per week. And every week we change that placement exam. We take a new grouping of questions, but essentially distributed from the same type of banks, okay? But we wanted, over the space of about 3 or 4 months, we wanted no two placement exams to be exactly the same. But students are allowed to take them every week so they can keep on hitting it. And every time a student takes it, what we can actually do is we can actually send them information on which portion of their exam they went down on which portion exam they did good in. So in here, this is just a screen capture from one of our little emails. So they were deficient in those areas, and they can click on that and go to the help slides and all that kind of stuff. So as I said, using this placement exam and using our curriculum changes, we were able to sort of try shift the balance in the students in our campus away from our sort of college algebra and into these other courses, which more or less guarantee that they're going to be better. You're going to have a better retention rate and a better success rate on campus. So just to compare, the green in this thing is going to be our number of students taking the certain courses this semester. The blue is going to be students in fall 2 years ago. Last fall was a bit of a weird anomaly of a course. But as you can see, our 110, which is on the left, the number of students has greatly increased. And on the right, there's the 116, that's our STEM thing. It's not as less. What actually happened is that unfortunately we had to do an awful lot of grandfathering in. So there's a lot of students in there that are come from our old remediation program, and they're in there now. And we should be able to turn around and actually figure out who is being in there properly placed, and that's that next slide here. If we take people who are above ACT 22 or who scored on the placement exam as a sufficient grade, or people placed correctly into our 110 course because of their ACT distribution, you'll see that we've really changed the emphasis on away from this college algebra and into our 110. And we fully expect people, not all of them, but some of them, to finish this 110 course and come back into our college algebra and try. But as I said, the concept for us was to allow them to, when they do hit that wall, to actually have a fallback. I mean, I've written 2 papers, both published in Math Educator and AMATIC journal. And one of them was about math fluency, about the concepts that what student has to know about, and the other one was about gamification of homework systems using WebWorks. So this is a topic that has been interest for me for many years, about 10 years. And although I can't actually say it because I haven't run an experiment yet about it, I really do believe that the reason, or one of a couple of reasons, that people aren't successful in these STEM-based courses is that it's too rigid for them. Besides the fact that they don't know a tremendous amount going into the course, they don't seem to have the mathematical maturity and student maturity enough to be successful in a hard course like college algebra, taking your notes, analyzing what is written, thinking about it, answering questions, asking questions. And we're a firm believer here at Missouri Western that if we allow the student into this softer course, the contemporary problem solving, it'll give them an experience in that environment, a successful experience, where hopefully they'll actually take that student maturity and go into our STEM course, and we'll hopefully see a little bit of a better results from that. So that is essentially my talk, 44 minutes. I'm going to close down this screen sharing thing so I can read comments, and I'm going to be throwing it back to John.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. Waters. And if all of you want to ask any questions or show your appreciation or thanks, feel free to do so in the chat room right now.
Just to answer one question.
Yes, go ahead.
To answer Lynn's question, what are the numbers on the x-axis? Those numbers are the fall, spring semesters for the last 6 years.
There's another question further up about classes below college algebra. I'm not sure if that was addressed to Michael's satisfaction or not.
Sorry, are there classes below college algebra? Yes, we have college algebra is our 116, our 112 is our finite mathematics, and our 110 is going to be our contemporary problem solving. You're asking, is there an intermediate college algebra? That would be our previous remediation course, the ALEX course. In answer to Bet's question, do students without ACT scores simply take the placement you created? They have two options when they come to the university. They can take the placement exam and get placed from that, or they can automatically go into our remediation. Generally speaking, since we created an exam, it's free. We really like them to take it. If they have some testing anxiety, which does happen, we simply say you can go into remediation, and from that you should be able to sort of build your strength, and you can take this exam whenever you want. I hope that answered your question, Bet. Sorry, Lynn, it was on the slide previous to that one. If I just go back and okay, slide previous to that. Sorry, John, I'm going to I'll have to take these questions one at a time. Lynn, I'll have to screen share again to figure out exactly what you want, or you can email me. Bet, I asked, since you're in the open enrollment school, we are. Pauline, only students from your college can try the sample questions. Yes, what we have actually done is we've created something for our students. If you personally want to try our sample questions on WebWork, please send me an email and I'll set you up with a personalized account. Did you say use Pearson or Alex? We use the Alex Bet. We use the Alex program in our remediation, and each person that came from a below of ACT 20 was certified by the Alex program, and as you can see, we weren't really getting that good of results. Lynn, did you say we can get access to the example placement test? Yes, Lynn, send me an email and I'll gladly do that. Our transfer students at the community colleges must meet the MAT requirements of their intended transfer destinations. How do you process? Okay, so Patty, what we actually do is at our university, there's a COTA, which is a certificate of transfer agreement for Missouri Western. And what we do is we say remediation at our university is just remediation. It doesn't gain you access to college algebra or 112 or 110. The placement does. So if we're getting a transfer student from someone else, we want them to do our placement exam. And if you want to, John, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. I'm just going to share my screen one more time.
Okay.
And
that's fine
for
with
those
me.
Okay, and for those of people who are here, I'm actually going to show you something that are still here. I actually created this and I didn't actually give you a chance to do it. We're going to take a placement exam. Oh, oop. Hang on 1 second. So in here, this is actually the placement exam that we actually do. And again, I'm sorry, I can't actually read your comments at the moment because when I do share screening, it shuts it down. So if I take a placement exam, it's proctored, so I have to enter a proctor's name. And here you go. It's a 50-minute timed exam. It says determine the equation of the given line. I can click on this and it'll pop up a screen given the line. It'll give me 2 points on the line, usually integer things, and this one is an easy one because it's just horizontal. I have logarithmics, I have factorings, I have a line again, I have solve the equation with multiple answers, and these are the type of questions that we have. Again, there's 3 pages, 10 questions per page, and after a student is done, he simply hits grade tests, and then a proctor has to log in back again. Again, we want to control this testing environment. We want to make sure that the students are completing all of the exams, and after our proctor logs back in again, up comes the lovely green bar, and the green bar says you're done. But it doesn't actually give you the grade because, as I said, we're weighting these questions based on the student's success in a university college level class. So a question from one bank may be worth 1.5 points, and a question from another bank might be worth 0.3 points. And that's all being calculated in the back on a rack server. And then an email is sent out to them, out to the student in their university email. And we've actually tied in our university system so that it automatically updates into their registration process. So let me stop sharing again. There we go. And let me get back to some questions. I'm sorry, there's just a small little box. I wish I could answer these. From Bet again, where do students take their placement exam? What we do is we actually use this for dual credit as well. So sometimes we send people out to the university, a proctor, and the person can proctor it there. Or we do it in one of our computer labs, we set up times, or we actually do it in one of our remediation labs where again we set up times. And again, if anyone wants to try the sample questions, please send me an email. My email is gwaters@missouriwestern.edu. And for Patty, it seems that you are directing your students to one of your 3 courses. I have to direct my students to the course they need for transferring. Again, I totally agree with you. The only unfortunate thing is we view this not as a get your students what they think they want. We view this as a increase retention on our university. So for us, it is going to be imperative that we get more ABCs on campus. If a person gets an ABC in contemporary problem solving, then they're quite allowed to get automatic entry. Once you finish that, automatically entry into our STEM course. But our view is, again, because we're degree seeking, we're 4-year university, we want the students to hang around, we want them to finish their degree. So I hope that answers it.
All right, well, thank you again. And Anyone else has any other comments or wants to thank Dr. Waters, feel free to do so in the chat room. And let me go back to these slides over here, since I know that some of you have mentioned you have other things to do right at 2 p.m. and Dr. Waters has just graciously put his email address in the chat room, so if you need to get that, feel free to do so. But thanks to all of you for participating in today's AMATIC webinar, and if you'd like to support future AMATIC webinars, please consider becoming a member of AMATIC at bit.ly/join-AMATIC. And please remember to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/amatic. And recordings of past amatic webinars, including this one, can be found at bit.ly/amatic-webinars. And it typically takes us 1 to 2 weeks to produce and upload webinars to this archive. And I will make sure that the slides are passed along to all of you as well. And if you could please take 2 minutes to evaluate the webinar content and the presenter at bit.ly/amatic37, that would be great. You can type that in to your web browser or click directly on the link that's on your screen right now. If you need email confirmation of your participation in this webinar, please fill in the optional section at the end of the evaluation. And your feedback is always welcome, and we do care about all of your comments. So feel free to fill out that survey. We do look at them and hope that you will do that. All right, with that being said, I'm going to end the recording now.